Hello everyone! Welcome to the first part of Shut Up Would You challenge, aka Silencing the Loud Ones challenge. I'm very happy this one won the poll, because this is Angst at its finest. So let's get into it, shall we? As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You're keeping this channel alive and going. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. Hi, I'm not going to waste your time with talking. I have a challenge for you. Oh. Sounds serious. That's never a good sign. Not really, I'm just annoyed. What did Oikawa do again? Remember how the last challenge you gave ended? Don't remind me. I'm sure we agreed not to make challenges while upset. I'm not upset. I said I'm annoyed. How's that different? I'm scared. Iwaizumi, if I may advise, wouldn't it be better to talk to Oikawa first? I would agree. You can solve a lot by talking it out. Tried that. Didn't work. So, your challenge is to silence them. Just tell them to shut up. Oh. I was wondering why none of the usually chatty ones are here. Nah, no way. That's too cruel. Agreed. I respect you, but you can't pull us into this one. Of course I can. I think Oikawa rapped off on him. But I can't do this. Kanji's chatter is the best thing in the world. What if he gets hurt and stops? I seriously think you should talk it out rather than tell him to be quiet. You know how Oikawa threatened to reveal secrets of those who wouldn't participate? Well, I know of those too. That's blackmail. I'm just in the middle of an HR nightmare because of stuff like this. Do as you want with that info. Damn you. You should seriously kick you two from the chats. It's not even just to tell them to be quiet, it's straight up shut up. Let's just go carefully about it. I don't know how you want to go carefully with this one, but sure, that might be the only chance to prevent a disaster. Good luck then, I guess. Neither the gentle breeze nor the last warm rays of sun did anything to improve Kentaro's mood. He was supposed to enjoy walking around with his husband and dog, letting the autumn sun rays warm his skin while he listened to Shigeru's happy blabbering, not bother with some stupid challenge that could quite easily ruin their evening, week, and possibly month too. But the worst outcome would be if Shigeru took it seriously. Because if that happened, it could mean another layer of uncertainty added to his beloved's already insecure mind. Never would I think I would hate Iwaizumi-san, but here we are. He wished they could go back to the time Shigeru wouldn't take anyone's shit and retort something snarky if Kentaro ever told him to shut up. But some things just couldn't be forgotten. Getting absolutely mentally destroyed by one's parents did the trick too well. Ken? Are you listening? There was a layer of uncertainty in Shigeru's voice, not unfamiliar to Kentaro's already trained ears. He hated the fact he had to ruin the moment, but since Oikawa didn't reveal any secrets back then despite threatening to do so, he was worried about what Iwaizumi would do. Honestly, not really. You've been talking my ear off for a bit too long, so how about you shut up for a while? He tried so hard to be gentle about it, to say it as calmly as possible to not be mistaken for anger. And yet, the moment he saw Shigeru's face fall, he knew he just messed up big time. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. He bit hard on his lip and turned to face ahead, judging by his expression, leading some nasty inner battle.
Fuck it, this is awful.
Shigeru blinked a few times and glanced at him but didn't say a word, or let out any other sound for the matter, and Kentaro could swear he felt his heart speed up despite only touching each other's hands. Unable to hold back, he pulled Shigeru to his chest, earning a hitched stutter. I'm so sorry, please keep talking. Huh? It was a dumb challenge. I don't want you to stay silent. Please continue the story, I'm sorry. For a while, Shigeru just stood frozen in place without a word or movement, which was yet another proof of how much that single request shook him. And Kentaro would gladly kick himself into the oblivion. Then, finally, the slender arms returned the hug, the light shiver running through Shigeru's body while he hid his face in the crook of his neck, breaking Kentaro's heart. So you don't mind me talking too much?
You aren't talking too much. And no, I don't mind at all.
I'm sorry, love. It's fine. As long as it was just a challenge. Kentaro nodded and hugged him tighter, grateful when he felt Shigeru relax again. He wasn't naive to think all was good now, but some nice bouquet of carnations, dinner, and maybe a bubble bath could potentially help. Hopefully, anyway. To say Shirabu was exhausted didn't describe his state in the slightest. His eyelids were heavier than lead, the third cup of coffee barely keeping him awake enough to see what he was writing into the form for insurance company, and on top of that his head pounded with pain as if someone was using his skull for an anvil. All could be attributed to the constant cries coming from Kosuke's crib. He didn't know what was wrong, but since yesterday's evening, the little boy cried almost every hour throughout the night, and it was just getting worse. He checked for everything: fever, tummy ache, injury, teething, everything, and yet the cries just didn't want to stop. And he was quickly reaching his limit. Eita, please do something! I have to get this done! It was unfair to throw the issue at Semi like this, of course it was, but he didn't know what else to do. Just an hour or two of silence, that's all he wanted. Why was it so difficult? Eita! Semi shrugged, looking as helpless as Shirabu felt, signing something Shirabu didn't understand, which just annoyed him more. I don't care what, just do something. If I don't have this done by tomorrow, it's going to be an issue. Semi let out a deep sigh and headed back into the kitchen, leaving him alone with the crying baby. Why now? What's going on? He tried. He tried so hard and for so long, but at this point, every thought he might have was replaced by the cries and exhaustion that couldn't be chased away because of said cries. Desperate, he headed to the crib in the last attempt to figure out what was wrong. But no matter what he did, he couldn't find any signs of fever or pain. And yet, Kosuke just continued to cry. What's going on with you? Everything was fine and now you suddenly start screaming like this. In answer to his possibly harsh tone, Kosuke just started to scream even louder, snapping the last nerves keeping Shirabu's sanity together. Why can't you just be quiet for a while?
Stop.
Shirabu froze, the raspy word followed by a harsh fit of coughs behind him, tearing him from the blind anger. His chest heaved and throat ached, tears of despair stinging in his eyes as well. The waves of all kinds of emotions, from anger to horror, crashing into him, stealing even the last bits of solid ground he had under his feet. Before he realized what was happening, strong arms pulled him away from the crib and pushed him out of the living room. Eita! Confused, he took over the bag and lunchbox Semi pushed into his arms, startling when he spotted blood on both the box and the bag handle. Your throat! But Semi didn't react in any way and just pushed him out of the door, handing him a note before closing the door behind him. Everything dawned on him at once, making his hands tremble. He contemplated knocking, perhaps begging to be let back in, but then decided against it. If Semi had to go to such length as force his voice and throw him out of the flat, he had to be hitting his limit as well. With a shaky sigh, he lifted the note to his eyes, though the longer he read, the more blurred the words became. Go take a break. Sit in some cafe and work, then come back. I understand you are tired, but this won't do. Sorry. Love you. As usual, Atsumu blubbered the whole way home from practice, testing Sakusa's patience to the limit. Not that he minded his boyfriend's voice or the chatter, though he rarely joined in, but sometimes it just felt like Atsumu just didn't want to run out of air. And on top of that, he was talking about something Sakusa had no information on, nor did he want to have. Alas, Atsumu was a gossip central. You know, I don't understand how she can think it's okay to tell her that. Like, who does he think she is? Like, if she was some prime example of virtue, I would get that. But it's just a month her boyfriend broke up with her because she cheated on him and she has the audacity to compare? How dumb is that? Very. Apparently encouraged by the single word, Atsumu went on and on with his tirade, forcing Sakusa to tune him out. Except it wasn't working anymore since he was already tuning him out before. Just when will this end? Does he not need to breathe or what? He managed to nod along the rest of the way to their flat, but eventually even his steel patience started to crack. Are you really that invested in their lives? You aren't even friends with them. So what? I can be invested. Oh, that reminds me. Remember that guy who was taking pics of the team last week? Turns out he's super into... Okay, please shut up, at least for a while. The silence that followed was deafening. Atsumu froze for a beat, his face falling before his lips turned down in a pout. Fine. He marched out of the kitchen without looking back, though Sakusa knew him long enough to know he might have overdone the harshness in his voice. So much for going gently about it. He sighed heavily, unsure what to do. He could go to Atsumu and apologize, but in the end he did want him to be quiet for a while. Though not like this. But what was done, and he couldn't do anything about it other than make sure Atsumu didn't stay silent for too long. He pocketed 2 protein bars and followed in Atsumu's steps to the bedroom, unsurprisingly finding him on the bed, pouting. Hey, you didn't take any protein. Atsumu only hummed in response and stayed with his face pressed into the pillow. Rolling his eyes, Sakusa sat on the bed and gently nudged his side. Come on, don't sulk. You've been talking my ear off for the last 2 hours. Because I want you to feel included. He lifted his head, looking less pouty and more guilty than Sakusa expected. I didn't want you to feel like I don't want to talk to you.
Why would I think that?
Well, after last week, I was worried you would start doubting yourself again, and I wanted to prevent it. But I guess I annoyed you instead, huh? He sounded so defeated, Sakusa almost felt sorry for him. And so he cracked a smile and handed Atsumu one of the protein bars before ruffling his hair.
It's fine. Just next time, take breaks between the stories, okay?
Yeah, okay.
And ease up on the gossip, You shouldn't spread the word if you don't know it's absolutely true.
You sound like my mom. Sakusa chuckled and lightly smacked Atsumu's head, but secretly he was glad everything was alright again. The whole thing was just dumb and hurtful. Goshiki was more than well aware of that. Even if they didn't go through all the mess they did, he would run the risk of hurting Kogane since, as far as he knew, Kogane's chatty nature was closely tied to the people's opinion. He had seen Kogane crestfallen because of someone's harsh words one too many times, and now he was supposed to be the one to make his fiancée sad? No way. But if that threat Iwaizumi said is serious... Perhaps he escaped the fate back when Oikawa was threatening the same thing, but Iwaizumi was straightforward. If he said he'll do something, he was going to go through with it. Goshiki wasn't hiding anything by lying. However, there were some things he would prefer to stay hidden deep within the past. I guess I can go gently about it like others said in the chat. Maybe it won't be so bad. With a sigh, he shook his head to chase away the pessimistic thoughts and instead focused on the TV again, hoping that watching something could give him the excuse to shush Kogane later on. The wait was horrible, only making Goshiki fidget more and more with every passing minute. Even under normal circumstances, he didn't like when the frogs had evening practices, but some things just couldn't be helped. Especially since it seemed to help the team get into Division 1. In the end, Goshiki couldn't be prouder. It's going to be okay, for sure. He startled when he heard the main door open, his heart jumping both with excitement and anxiety. Welcome home. Weirdly enough, he didn't get the usual enthusiastic squeal of a greeting, nor did he get tackled by the overgrown child he called his fiancée, followed by his lively chatter. Instead, a barely hearable hi was his only answer, after which Kogane waddled into the living room. It threw Goshiki off the loop, but the confusion was quickly replaced by worry. What's wrong? Did something happen? No? That's not something you should answer with a question. What's going on? He jumped up and rushed to Kogane, taking his face in his palms, the little displeased grunt Kogane let out when they touched, rattling with his core. Though, on a closer inspection, it might have not been displeased, but rather pained. Goshiki froze, his mind short-circuiting for a beat when he noticed his lip was cut and bleeding a little, as well as the dark red mark spreading over Kogane's cheek. What happened? Who? With a clearly annoyed huff, Kogane pushed his hands away and stepped back, and would definitely try to walk away if Goshiki didn't catch his wrist. It's fine, it will go away. At least let me put some ice on it and clean it. It could...
I said it's fine. No need to fret about it.
Anger born of worry bubbled in Goshiki's chest. Annoyed with Kogane's dismissal, he gripped his arm tighter and dragged him into the kitchen despite his protests.
Hey, let go. What are you? Shut up and let me help you, you dumbass.
His voice trembled more than he liked, but perhaps that was the reason why Kogane stopped fighting against him and let himself be led to the kitchen without another word. Goshiki also stayed quiet, focused solely on his task of cooling the soon-to-be bruise and fetching the first aid kit. He would get an answer eventually. Unable to even feel a smidge of hate anymore towards the challenge, Ennoshita turned his entire focus on carefully stretching Tanaka's legs, listening to his rambling on half an ear. Despite his warning, Tanaka didn't take the train and instead walked home that day, which resulted in his muscles and joints aching and added more work on him. Not that he complained about helping his fiancée, but that didn't mean he wasn't upset over the preventability of the situation.
Ow, ow, ow! Chica, that's too much, no?
Ennoshita clicked his tongue, but quickly eased his grip and let Tanaka lay his leg down for a while.
That's what you deserve for not listening to me. Would it kill you to take that train? Huh? What are you, a shark?
Despite the obvious pain, Tanaka grinned at him, for a moment truly looking like said shark.
I need to move, Chica, you know me. I guess it didn't work out too well this time, but it was fine the other day.
Ennoshita narrowed his eyes at him.
What other day? Last week?
But that was a shorter distance and it was fine.
You mean last week when I also had to help you stretch because your whole leg cramped? That last week?
Tanaka as if shrunk and Ennoshita sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose.
Just what are you punishing me for, Kami-sama?
Hey, it's not that bad, is it? Despair flaring up in his chest, Ennoshita pointed an accusatory finger at him.
You are voluntarily sabotaging your health with your stupid need to move, and I'm left to pick up the pieces. Do you know what it's like? To see you in pain when you shouldn't be? I'm trying my darn hardest to get you back into full health and you never listen to me.
Chica.
No, shut up, I'm not done talking yet. You said you won't compromise my work. You promised you'll be careful with yourself. And then you go out and do what? Exactly the opposite.
His breath hitched, the tears entering his eyes, closing his throat as well. He tried to angrily wipe them away, unsure why exactly he was crying. But it was useless anyway, as new tears kept pushing into his eyes, keeping his vision blurred.
What am I doing wrong?
A second later, he found himself engulfed in the warmest embrace on earth, the arms that never lost much of their strength squeezing him tight to Tanaka's chest. You aren't doing anything wrong. I'm so sorry, please don't cry. I swear I'm going to listen to you from now on. I didn't mean to disrespect your work or you. I'm stupid, I know.
Careless, that's what you are. Careless and irresponsible.
Yeah, that too. I'm sorry you have to deal with me. At that, Ennoshita gently punched his shoulder, finally finding strength to look up, light jolts running through his skin when Tanaka gently wiped away the tears from his cheeks.
You will do as I tell you from now on. Promise me. For real this time.
I promise and swear to everything that's precious to me that I will. He kissed Ennoshita's forehead before pulling him back into the hug. Ennoshita melted into it, turning his mind off for a while to only treasure the moment, despite the soft hiccups still jerking with his shoulders. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm very glad this challenge won the poll. I had a feeling it will, because I know you already, but I was still very glad it was this one, because this is finally something again that I can pour so much of my angst, nerves and everything into. Yes, it's Angstember at its finest, and I hope you liked it. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.